first of all, congratulations with your SCOR-S certification.
Thank you.
How would you describe the SCOR-S certification to other students?
I would describe the SCOR training as basically 2 days really of intense training, like a regular class but condensed into 2 days, which was kind of intense, but it was worth it. And then you had time to review and go over the supply chain, just information, and then had one big exam. So as though the Clemson course was very condensed and more intense, but it was worth it in the long run.
Do you believe this is valuable to you, to your career?
Yes, I definitely think this is valuable. I personally am not sure what career path I want to pursue, and so this opens up a whole new window for me. And I know that having SCOR certification on a resume and just being a recently graduated senior going into the workforce, it's definitely going to be beneficial to, even if I don't start in supply chain later on in life, it'll definitely be good to have on there and to remember.
How did you experience the 2-day instruction?
I was really nervous about the 2-day instruction because it's pretty much 9 to 5, and it was just a classroom setting with PowerPoints, and I was scared that I would daydream or something like that. But luckily, it was interesting, and it wasn't bad at all, actually. It was very personable, the instructor, and everyone was participating in everything, and the days flew by, thank goodness.
Was the instructor able to give you understandable real-life examples and case studies?
Yes, he was, which was good, and it helped bring the class just into the subject in general, so it wasn't over our heads or anything. He used a lot of just more simple explanations to help us understand the words and the vocabulary and things better. There was a lot of making hamburger explanations and things like that, and just hosting a party, which we could all understand, I guess. So it really helped just to bring the whole class together.
How did you prepare for the exam?
For the exam, I tried to take as many notes as possible during the 2-day instruction. And then when I was preparing for it, I focused on the main outline of SCOR and focused on the definitions and things like that. And I just memorized the basics, and then I went through all the PowerPoints and made sure that I could just explain it to somebody else as though the instructor had explained it to us. And then I just felt ready and luckily did well.
How did you experience the exam itself?
The exam, I was scared of it actually because I needed this class to graduate, as many of my fellow students did also. And just having one exam, regardless of how difficult, is just nerve-wracking. But I'm really glad that I took it, and it really, if you prepared yourself and if you paid attention, then you could do it, and it wasn't that bad. It wasn't super simple, like you had to definitely know what you were talking about, but it wasn't too difficult at all.
How did you prepare for the examination?
In preparing for the exam, I mostly focused on the PowerPoints, and I took as many notes as possible during the 2-day instructor explanation. And then I went through all those notes, and I went through all the PowerPoints, and I just focused on the core, like the outline of the SCOR. And then I made sure that I could explain it to my roommate so that I knew what I was talking about, and I could go through all the examples and relate it to other examples that I came up with myself.
How did you experience the examination itself?
The exam was nerve-wracking, especially being a graduating senior, and so I needed that class to graduate. So just having one exam, regardless of how hard it is, was just scary. But I was prepared. I went through all the material and everything, and so it wasn't too difficult. As long as you know what you're talking about, then you can regurgitate it and do fine.
Thank you. Do you believe this is valuable to you?
I believe this course is extremely valuable. Me personally, I have career aspirations in the supply chain industry, so for me personally it was very valuable. But I can see where this class is just as valuable to any other business student. like I said, the fundamental SCOR framework can be applied to any business, any industry. So any business has a supply chain. So whether or not you go into a business in the field of supply chain management, you can still apply the fundamentals that you learn from the SCOR framework to any business you go into. So through going through this certification program, you are automatically learning real life examples and situations that you're going to be using right when you get into the workforce, whatever field you go into, manufacturing or service. So the knowledge base you gain from this program, I would say, is extremely valuable. And beyond that, the networking that you get through being a member of the Supply Chain Council creates a whole nother level of value from the certification, especially because the SCOR-S certification is so new. Students who have the certification coming out into the workforce have an extreme advantage over those who don't, because they can use the networking from the council to interact with prospective businesses and employers that other students don't have the capability to do.
Thank you. How did you experience the two-day instruction?
The two-day instruction was like an intense classroom environment, and rather than just bombarding you with a lot of different information that the supply chain handbook and that has it within it, it really just hammers in the framework of SCOR. And so for 2 days, you learn the framework that the SCOR reference provides you, but it's not necessarily like you're getting overloaded with information overload. So if you can just understand the framework that SCOR teaches you, which is really what the 2-day classroom environment is all about, if you can come out of there with a strong understanding of that, then you already understand more than a lot of people know about supply chain management, and you're well prepared for the exam.
Was the instructor able to give you understandable real-life examples and case studies?
Absolutely. Our instructor was able to tell us about his real-life experiences where he had used the SCOR reference model with when he had worked with, for example, HP when they had experienced a takeover, and he told us real-life examples where he had used the SCOR framework to integrate their supply chain with the supply chain of the company that they had merged with. So in doing so, he was able to give us real-life perspective while we were learning about the framework with different business scenarios. So it was really great because not only were we learning the knowledge basis of the SCOR framework, but we were also able to see where it could be applied in real-life situations and how it really is valuable within the real business world.
How did you prepare for the exam?
Well, like I said, the real basis of the SCOR certification, SCOR-S certification, is really just an understanding of the SCOR framework. And SCOR does a great job of organizing all the information, and especially with its framework, its 5 processes, in a very well organized way that's very conducive to understanding it. And if you can go through the 2-day instructional course and get that and hammer in that good basis of the SCOR framework, then every question on the exam really stems from that. So in my preparation for the exam, I just studied the SCOR framework, which is, like I said, very well organized, and through that, every other question or problem can just be logically deducted from an understanding of that. So really, I just focused on the SCOR framework and made that the main focus of my studies and just took it from there.
How did you experience the exam itself?
The exam was sort of like an SAT standardized test format, so it was very, at first it seemed a little intimidating, and at first glance it seemed a little bit more difficult than I expected. But once I just reverted to the SCOR framework that I'd learned and had been hammered down with me and just gone over and over again within the 2-day instructional period and within my studies, I just sat down and relaxed and saw that every question stems from that same framework, and it's really not that difficult. So if you just sit down and look at every question based on the SCOR framework, which you're taught very well within the instructional period, really it was very doable, and being able to think about difficult questions that at first glance seems beyond your comprehension, but then going back to the roots of the SCOR framework and realizing that you actually do have a logical understanding of it is a reward all on its own.